music fans, welcome back. It is Dave, the Real Music Observer, observing real music in real time for real people just like you right there and just like me right here. The music industry's war on Peter Frampton. That is the topic of this video. Typically, when I do these types of videos, I'm not saying that the guy's not, played on the radio at all or that he's not fairly well off because of his music career. Although that might be true, depending on what artist we're talking about. Here, we talk about Peter Frampton, a guy who basically had to live album himself into stardom. Okay, of course, I'm talking about Frampton Comes Alive, where Show Me the Way and Baby I Love Your Way are pretty much the only songs you hear on the radio. And that's a holy crap, Batman, because when I was when I was at the classic rock station during the 1980s, Do You Feel Like We Do was our number one requested song all the time. A couple of Led Zeppelin songs were pretty close, but we couldn't play it a lot because it's like 13 minutes long, and nobody wants to hear the edited version of that particular song because we were classic rock and FM and album oriented. We did not play edited versions of songs. Nope. Hard commercial break coming up means I guess we don't have time for your song. Try us again later that night and hopefully we'll have time to play it. And that was typically what we did. Now, in the case of Frampton Comes Alive, you can pretty much pick any song on that collection, and we played it at one time or another. Nowadays, it's two tracks. Peter Frampton himself had a number of albums. I was in radio during the late 80s. He had two albums that came out when I was there, Premonition and When All the Pieces Fit. Now, we did give the song Lying quite a bit of airplay. And my question for Atlantic Records after the song peaked in our top 10 and people were requesting it, and it was a great song. I'm like, what are you guys going to release next? Because we want to play more. And we wanted to follow their lead and so forth. And they didn't push anything else. They just kept on going. And then the next album comes out, When All the Pieces Fit, and there was a track off of that album we were playing. The track was called Holding On to You, and it did quite well. And again, no follow-up singles or anything. And look, these are my recollections of Peter Frampton. Of course, in '94 he had Day in the Sun, which did really well and was a terrific song and had this nice slide guitar. Back in the early 80s, you had Breaking All the Rules, which doesn't get played. Of course, you had I'm In You, which was a huge top 40 song. That doesn't get played. I can go on and on about this guy. It's just really tragic how, in general, the music industry has boiled his music down to two songs. Okay? Now, if you're a fan, of course, you are somebody who knows the brilliance of Peter Frampton. But if you're one of these, hey, I like classic rock, and oh boy, Show Me the Way is on again. I mean, of course, the song was remade in the 80s. It was actually Baby I Love Your Way, Freebird medley, and a completely bizarre kind of redo, but it did fairly well because, you know why? Because it was Peter Frampton, and he made really good music. And what's just a bummer as a music person like myself is there's just not a lot of Peter Frampton on the radio. Some songs that could be on the radio, I mentioned a few. Lines on My Face was a real big one. I know he did a fairly decent job with While My Guitar Gently Weeps. Doobie Wah, which was off of an older album, which was on the Frampton Comes Alive. All I Want to Be Is By Your Side. We used to get phones like that just for that song, just crazy. He did a version of Black Hole Sun, which was pretty respectable, even though I'm not a big fan of the song. I think I liked Peter's version of it better. I talked about Day in the Sun, which is Frampton's own tune. I mean, I'm just going through a list here trying to think out loud. Uh, it's just really weird how the music industry, rather than expanding and digging deeper into catalogs, they've reduced and condensed them. And they think people just won't be able to tolerate a guy like Peter Frampton too much on the radio. And it's, again, these are just my observations. By the way, Frampton also fell victim to the whole 90s thing, although he went to 94 with Day in the Sun, and he got on the radio, and it peaked at number 9 on the mainstream rock charts. It just showed everyone how good the song was at the time, and it also just showed how tough it was. You know, a tune like that should have been number 1 on the mainstream rock charts, but hey, number 9 is good, especially in the era of angst and turmoil and guys who can't even tune their guitars. We'll take it. So that's my little video on Peter Frampton, the war on his music. Go just listen to Frampton Comes Alive from start to finish, and then dig into some Peter Frampton. He is brilliant, an unsung guitar hero, and a great songwriter, and a pretty decent vocalist, I might add, too. And he started out in a pretty good band before that, or was in a band before that, called Humble Pie. You might know about them, and if you don't, well, we might have to do a video. All right, I'm done. I'll talk to you soon. Have a great day.